Welcome to the latest edition of First State Kopites. It's episode 40, our final episode of season 3. This is a podcast for Liverpool supporters in Delaware and friends of those Liverpool supporters. Thanks for listening on your preferred platform. We're available on all of them and on YouTube as well. This week's Paul, joined by Enrique and Haitham, to review the 21-22 season. Great to see you both. Thanks for making time to do this, because I know we've had challenge with schedule. Sean is busy today, and for Daz, if you're listening, we're thinking about you, and we're looking forward to having you back on the podcast with us soon. I should probably, if you're looking for Darwin Núñez content, this is not the place to go. We want to kind of like draw a line under the season before we start talking about transfers, but we'll definitely have more to say about that. We're potentially about to lose another hero, because obviously Divock Origi has announced this week that he's left, and we may have another Uruguayan striker who looks kind of like he's got a pretty calm temperament from the clips I've seen, unlike the other Uruguayan striker we used to have. But our goal for today is to help everyone reflect on the season and what a season it was, and find the moments that brought us joy, mostly the moments that brought us joy. So I want to start with you, Haitham. So just if you've read the Athletic article by Cy Hughes, Kiva O'Neill and James Pierce, they pose a series of questions and they all kind of put their input, and I thought that was quite a good model, so I've stolen it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about kind of best moments, worst moments, surprises, kind of things that were funny, who was our favorite everything, player, goal, game, and hopefully give, if you're listening, something that you can kind of reflect back on the season and realize perhaps it wasn't as bad as the last day may have made it feel. So I'll start with you, Haitham. Your best moment of the season. I've got a few to throw in, but why don't you kick us off?
I mean, for me, I think I've said this so many times. I've just enjoyed this season so much. So many high moments, so many joyful occasions, brilliant goals, brilliant wins. But as everyone knows, I'm a very, very, whatever you want to call it, big hater of La Liga. And I think I had been sour probably for a couple of years, that Atletico win at Anfield, and then the shenanigans at the end of that match. So if I look through the whole season, I think the win at the Wanda, what is it? Their stadium, basically, their home stadium, Wanda Metropolitano. Yeah, I think that was the highlight of the season for me. So the two goals, I think, I'm trying to remember. I think Salah scored the first goal, and then Naby scored the second, and then there were like two quick hits, and they leveled it up, and then we scored the third, and I think that was so joyous. And then to complete the circle for me was the win, the 2-0 win at Anfield. So yeah, if I look, I think if I look back, those are the two best moments of the season for me, because I'm selfish, and my hatred for La Liga and Atletico specifically is just so big.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I have to say, given my own deep-seated biases, it was really hard for me to look past the 5-0 away at Old Trafford. The fact that it was historic in terms of, I don't know, they'd never been beaten by us by that margin kind of anywhere, and just the manner of it. It was glorious. It could have been 10.
So one point about that. So yes, when it happened, it was fantastic. It was glorious. It was going to be the highlight of the season for me. But then just looking at their whole season, it just seems so, like trivial. Like, it was supposed to happen, basically.
It's them, though. It's them. That's them. So I hope I haven't stolen your thunder, Enrique. What was your best moments of the season?
Yes, I'd like to pick a 17-way tie for all the penalty kicks we took and scored in finals, but I'm going to give it to Kelleher's, man. I think that for me is just my highlight of the season. And followed closely by Simicas because it showed just how deep we are now in talent. And I think this is the first season where I would comfortably argue that we have the better squad than Manchester City. Not starting 11 argument, but the whole squad. If you go all the way down the list, and I think in the two trophies that we brought home this season, we really showed off how deep we are, and to have the heroes on each of those finals be um, not the names you would expect. Nobody from our starting 11, but guys that then I know that I can trust going forward to come in and next man up mentality. They're going to be able to do a job for us. So, yeah. So Simicas and then Keller. I mean, how often do you see a goalkeeper winning a penalty shootout for you? That's always going to stick with me for the rest of my life. So I think that would be my highlight of the season.
Well, not to undermine, but it did happen against United when De Gea missed a penalty in last year's Europa League final. I'm going to enjoy like moments about United through this review of the season and how poor they've been. So,
and then to also enjoy all the discussion afterwards by pundits on whether, just like a couple of years ago, where they questioned whether we actually needed a throwing coach, where we have the new I forget the name of the company now, but the German company that analyzes our penalty kick takers to see if they're in the right mindset, and saying whether that's necessary in the game or if we're just wasting money. And here we are, almost perfect in our penalty shootout.
Right.
So let them keep questioning it. I hope no other teams pick up on it, because it seems to be working all right for us.
I did have a fear actually that I think the questioning has got less about things that Liverpool do, which makes me wonder like how much is now being adopted by other people. But yeah, so many things we didn't even mention, right? Didn't talk about parades, didn't talk yet about Klopp, and maybe we'll circle back around to talk about him. And we didn't talk about Mo Salah's goals, the two against City and Watford. I think, did one of them win the goal of the season? It should.
I'm not sure if they put that out yet.
I should have done.
Maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't get that was a goal season.
Okay.
Should be.
Yeah. Let's kind of take a low moment and then kind of get back to all the fun stuff. What was your worst moment in hindsight? Because I think we could easily have got upset about, we could easily still be upset about the Champions League final, and we certainly should be upset about the policing of the Champions League final. The final league game was more of a roller coaster than probably was good for us. The Elliott injury probably wasn't very helpful to us, and certainly hurt his chances of playing the last part of the season. What for you, Haitham, was your kind of worst moment of the season?
To be honest, when I think about it, there are two moments that stand out. The first one is the 97th, Hillsborough victim.
Yeah.
So just when that happened, and you think about what actually happened, so many years ago, it kind of brought back some memories and all of that stuff. So that's number one. Number two, for me, and this is, I don't know if it's recency bias, but it just happened a few weeks ago. It's basically Mane's announcement that he might be leaving. Mane is just my favorite player on the squad. I think he's the one that, kind of started all of this. His signing, I think, cemented club's resurgence, within Liverpool and all of that stuff. And ever since that first season and the crazy goals that he scored and just the way he played, and it's been so consistent, apart from, I think, during the pandemic when he actually got sick and that kind of affected his play. I think he's been one of the most consistent players on the squad. So just knowing that he's not, and I get it, I'm not bitter at it, not mad at him or whatever. I understand the business side of football. But at the same time, just knowing that there's a big chance he's not going to be around anymore. It's just was kind of a downer for me.
Yeah, totally get that. Yeah, I read somewhere that he scored the 6 seasons he's been here, he scored more than 20 goals 4 times, which clearly, he was a big part of us getting into the Champions League, in 17-18, and is also one of the few players on this team who scored a goal in this I do find a bit disturbing that we're going to lose 2 of the 3 players we've had who scored a goal in the Champions League final, likely in this window. I definitely think there's, to your point about the 97th victim. I do think there's probably 2 ways of looking at this, and one is like bigger picture, like what caused you kind of angst, and then what on a football field, which clearly is slightly less important. And I'd say that if I have to choose one thing in terms of a worst moment, it was the triggering caused by it's the fans' fault for the final being a disaster. They came late, they didn't have tickets, and I don't think I heard they're all drunk, but that, it was definitely going in that direction, which was totally mimicking what the story was after Hillsborough. Yeah. Enrique, your thoughts about worst moments?
Yeah, I guess mine was going to be the same as Haitham. I don't think he could have said it any better, but yeah, definitely Monty leaving is bittersweet. But so without talking about the obvious lows we had at the end of the season, as you pointed out, I'd like to say just in general how many teams, how many supporters from different teams I learned to hate now because the chance that we kept having to go through it all season long, and almost more annoyingly too, hearing the pundits talk about how loud and the atmosphere is being great. Thinking about Nottingham Forest, thinking about Leicester, and meanwhile you're sitting there and you can hear it clearly on TV that the abuse that they're hurling. So I'd say that's probably up there as far as one of the worst moments for me, just having to hear all that. I'm a firm believer, chant about your own club. You don't have to, if you're gonna take the mick out of another club, then keep it light. But yeah, some of the stuff that's chanted at us is it's outrageous, and you got to keep pointing it out until something's done. And you hope. I think I've seen more change recently than we've seen in other years. Definitely seen official statements out from clubs that we wouldn't have expected, like City and United, to give them credit. They did come out with statements, which I don't know years ago whether they would have even come out with statements. It'd be nice to see those statements come out sooner, but little by little, I think progress is made. But yeah, you want to see that stop.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I made the mistake of tuning into a little bit of the England game in Germany the other day. Actually, I was wondering if Trent was going to get a kick. He didn't. But I noticed all the Union flags and the St. George's crosses with some place name, and they're all like Wolverhampton, Leicester. I mean, other obscure places that I've never been to, but I've heard about. But it was very Middle England, and it felt like these are some of the people, who are, if they're quite happy to sing songs about the Second World War, why wouldn't Liverpool be a legitimate target in their world? We're heading in a Scouse not English direction. Let's pull it back. Which I'm quite happy to do, but let's talk about the things the joys of this season. So let's go next. What was your biggest surprise of the season? I won't even lead on this because I am going to get my United dig in at some point. But biggest surprise of the season.
I'll go first. For me, I think just the way Diaz fitted in from like minute 1 was just unbelievable for me. I knew he was a good player. I came across him playing, I think it was during Copa America, probably like 2 years ago, and he had like a couple of bicycle kick goals, and just his speed was out of control. And I knew he played for Porto, and then I watched him during the when we played them in the Champions League. So when we got him, I was like, yeah, it's just based on history. I think it was only like a couple of players that just came in and from day one, Salah is one of them. Mane is another. But typically it takes a while for players, at least, like 3-4 games. And this guy came in and he just fit it in. And the fact that he did not speak the language and still doesn't. But ever since he became part of the squad, he's basically just one of the most consistent and liveliest players every time he's on the pitch. So that was one of the big surprises for me. I thought he was there. We got him because we didn't want him to go to Tottenham, and we wanted to give him like 6 months to get used to the way we play and all of that stuff. And he came in and he's like, hey, I've been here, I'm not new. So yeah, that was the biggest surprise for me.
So I think his upside is huge because he only scored in the end 6 goals in 25 games. And if you look at what he did at Porto, like he had a okay season, scored a few goals, but then it's in this last 12 months that he really took off there. So I think once he understands a little bit more about kind of how we play and kind of where the opportunities are, it's good. I know you said he doesn't speak English, but apparently he's great friends now with Elliot and Jones.
Yeah, yes.
I wonder if Google Translate is big.
Yeah.
There's that one video that went around with Jones and him talking on the sideline. They're very clearly both using a lot of hands, like speaking like Italians, I guess. Love to communicate.
Well, probably some joke out there about nobody understanding Curtis Jones anyway because he's a Californian. So it's easy for him. Okay, yes. Bigger surprise, Enrique.
Yeah, so it's a couple directions to go in. Robertson not getting in the team of the year for one. No, actually, I'd like to say how many games and minutes we got out of Joel Matip. I would not have expected that at the beginning of the season. Credit to our medical staff because my God, they kept him running like a Ferrari all season long, and actually right there alongside Robertson, I think it's a big shame that he didn't get into the team of the season. I do believe he won a player of the month at one point, so he did have that award to take home with him. Yeah. But and just taking on a center back, Konate, just how easily he fit in. He must absolutely love life now, being able to come in and play alongside Virgil van Dijk and the quality he has next to him. I do love how all the hype was on Upamecano. Yeah. And we just snuck in and actually unearthed the real gem in that defense. So again, more credit to our scouting and our backroom staff for identifying that. And then on a non-Liverpool side, I will say I'm pleasantly surprised at how poorly it worked out for Lukaku. I actually have a group of friends. We do preseason predictions and we stick them in an envelope and don't look at it for the entire season. And I'd actually picked Lukaku as the league's top scorer. So not that one about as wrong as you could go. But I mean, I do remember thinking at the beginning of the season, him coming to Chelsea would probably work out and be a good fit. And, coming off of that amazing season at Inter. So for that to not work out and for him to now almost be begging to go leave Chelsea, it's great for us, but I'd have to put that down as one of my biggest surprises of the season for sure.
Yeah. One of the things actually that did strike me is that there was a lot of revisionism happening when he came to say, oh, he had issues like with his kind of physical issues that have all been resolved now. He's been in Italy and he'll come back a different player. And now I see these same people writing now saying, well, actually, I think there was a Jonathan Wilson article today in The Guardian where they said, he said, like Lukaku's been responsible for 3 of the top 21 transfers in Europe, I think in the last 10 years. And, 2 of the moves have been a complete failure. As if, well, everyone knew this was going to happen. No one should have spent 97 million in the first place on him. Anyway, maybe they certainly shouldn't have spent 97 million, but I don't know that anyone was in that space. Can't leave this one about bigger surprise. We did an episode like really early, maybe a second episode, where we were talking about who was going to challenge. And I think I was going on about the ridiculousness of some of the claims about what United would do, given they've averaged no more than 2 points a game for 3 seasons now. Even when they finished second, it was still like in the 2 points a game space. My biggest surprise is they were even crapper than that this year. Like, what did they get? 56 points. That was
Yeah, their lowest total, right?
Yeah. Yes. Less than under Moyes, right? To be thoroughly celebrated. I'm sure we'll do some predictions about next season, but turning that around, that's
so I have
job.
Sorry, Paul, I didn't mean to, but I just want, before I forget, I wanted to ask what Enrique highlighted, about Joel Matip. Was he even injured this season? I don't remember.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was a surprise, right? I don't think he got injured.
No.
Which is like, it was like, more of a probability than anything, than people going to sleep. So yeah, that's phenomenal.
And well, I think we also hired some recovery specialist in addition to the rest of the medical staff.
And the steroids.
And yeah. It's got the steroids, definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's biggest surprise that they haven't yet exposed the fact that none of the Liverpool players actually have asthma. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just in case you have no idea what we're talking about, apparently the dark world of Twitter has a theory that Liverpool are enhanced by steroids. They have a ridiculous number of players claiming to have asthma, and this is enhancing their performance. And if you look at comments in many stories, even in serious publications, occasionally see someone, why aren't you writing a story about the asthma or the steroids? That's what it's supposed to be about. Yeah.
It's a footy queue sometimes on Twitter.
Yeah. Anyway, there's so much crap in some of the online feeds. Let's get back to kind of more serious business. Who was your favorite player of the season? We clearly had 6 in the PFA Team of the Year, and I was going to mention this later in terms of a funny moment, but Laporte's tweet about why didn't they pick me? I absolutely love the response. This is what I found funny about it. Response was just like, maybe everyone thinks you're a dickhead, mate. Anyway, so that is the reason why he wasn't picked. I also don't think he was as good as either Rudiger or Van Dijk either, but that's another part of it. But so if you're going for one of those 6, then maybe you don't even have to go for one of those 6. Haitham, who are you gonna pick out as the and favorite can be many things, person who just you enjoyed the most.
Yeah, I think it's a tie between 2 again. It's Sadio Mane, just because of the consistency throughout the season. Salah was on fire probably the first, I don't know, 2/3 of the season.
Pre-AFCON, right?
Yeah, pre-AFCON. But Mane was just consistent. I mean, he wasn't scoring the same number of goals or at the same rate as Salah initially, but it was consistent. So he did something. And even if he's not scoring, I thought his play was brilliant. And my the second is Enrique's person, Joel Matip. I love the guy. And even if he's not playing, I just love him. I spend sometimes, minutes and minutes just looking at his memes. It's just whatever bad mood I'm in, they just always bring me out of it. So it's those 2.
Awesome. And of course, Matip did not make it into the Player of the Year because clearly there were so many people better, like Laporte. But never mind, he didn't make it. So I want to add, but you go next, Enrique, in terms of your favorite Player of the Year.
Yes, so I'm going to go with Allison. And there's obviously we have a lot of choices, but I think goalkeepers don't get enough love, and when you have the chance to show in some love, then you go for it. So I know I shared it in the group earlier this week, but there's a model done by John Harrison breaking down what the net worth of a goalkeepers were this season, and it takes into account everything from passing out of the box or cross interceptions, 1v1s, everything. And broke down, Allison was by far ahead of every other keeper in the league, and he was worth 19 goals to us. And I mean, that when a goalkeeper's worth 19 goals to a team, there's an argument for player of the year right there, over some of the attacking talent that we have. But yeah, it has to be Allison. And I've said it many times, but I have just as many highlights from this season of Allison saving us on 1v1 situations as I do of Mane and Salah goals. And not to mention all the 1v1 situations that he saved us from that would have been offsides anyway, but he gives us that little extra cushion of making attackers crap themselves when they go up against him. It's fantastic to watch time and time again. As long as he's in our net, and I'm always going to feel confident, even when we have any attacker bearing down on us, because he manages to pull it out more often than not.
Yeah. Was that the piece where they talked about like his technique about closing people down?
No, that's a different piece.
Yeah.
This was all model using I can't remember the name of the model, but broke down I think all the top keepers in the league, and to probably to your delight, De Gea was bottom of that list. So.
well, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, let's mention more United. Yeah, I mean, I honestly think what did my son say the other day? He said he's 14. He said Harry Maguire and high line don't belong in the same sentence.
Yeah,
England were trying to play a high line. Yeah, and with De Gea, who likes to stay on his line, then that's a lot of scope for attack. Don't know how they're going to fix that, but anyway. No, I'm not going to mention Mo, but clearly he had a pretty outstanding season, and I think that recency bias probably cost him the Footballer of the Year award, because clearly he had the most assists and he had the most goals. But my favorite, because I got to see him in person, I see him warm up, was Thiago Alcantara. When you guys get to go, if he's playing, then make sure you're in early so you can watch him just like kick the ball around and generally do kind of wonderful things with it. So that we'll get to goals in a minute. But the goal he scored, which I think was against Porto, I should have checked this. That is the kind of thing he's doing in the warm up all the time, like hitting the ball like no one else does. Maybe with a slight exception of Trent, but so he would be my player of the year. But I don't think there's a bad call. I think a lot of people had amazing seasons. Yeah. Maybe when we get to talk about transfers in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about maybe the one or two who are maybe on the outside who didn't get to play so much, who maybe will be looking back on the season with quite so much fondness. So I think I've led into it already, and I've kind of told you what my favorite goal was. But favorite goals, I think there were some for their timing that were really special, and there were some that were just a joy to watch in terms of the way the team played. So Haitham, I'll start with you.
So it's so difficult to pick one just because there were too many. But
well, you picked two players, so I think you can go with two goals. I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to veer from them and pick one just because he's leaving and he's done so many wonderful things for us. Divock Origi. I think it was the goal against Shrewsbury, the flick, the backheel flick.
Preston.
Was it Preston? Okay, Preston. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I mean there was nothing. I think it was probably 95% luck, but just the audacity, to even try something like that. But yeah, he's done so many. I think there's a video that just came out on the LFC YouTube channel, just all his goals for Liverpool, and just watching them, it just dawned on me how many good goals he's had and how many times he's bailed us out. Especially in the first years of clubs, the first couple of years of club's reign. But yeah, I mean, it was that was for me. That was just like, yep, I really like that.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's a bad shout. I think if he'd gone for his goal at Wolves in the 90 whatever minute as well, goal against that anyway. Yes, Divock, thank you. Enrique, goal or goals of the season?
Yeah, so you both took my first two. I was going to say.
Oh.
So I'll go with the popular one then, and Salah against City,
Uh-huh.
because he managed to make a couple other players from that team of the season look absolutely ridiculous on that run.
And Laporte too.
And Laporte, who's
Yes.
very deservedly not in the team of the season.
Yeah.
If he has any questions about why he's not in there, somebody should just send him the screenshot of him looking the complete opposite direction where the ball's going as it goes into the back of the net. But yeah, I think that's what I talk about. Imprinted memories from this season. The look of as the ball goes past Ederson and two City defenders are staining their shorts as they're on the ground, and the ball blasts past from Salah. And if I'm remembering correctly, it was his right foot too, right? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just everything about that goal is beautiful.
Yeah. I think the Watford one was left foot, but that was
The Watford one was a beautiful left foot. Also left some dirt stains on some shorts in that one.
Yeah, I actually have the T-shirt of that one. So I don't know if you guys remember. There used to be a game called Sabutio. You probably never come across it. It was a very, very English thing, or British thing, which was basically table football. You had these little plastic guys on bases that you would flick around, and someone did a T-shirt essentially of like all the Watford players looking like they were Sabutio players who'd like fallen on their side, with a kind of guy in a red shirt with number 11, very upright, and the ball's curling into the corner of the goal. Hats off for a badge if anyone's interested.
I'd love to see it.
And they're not even sponsoring us.
And can I give an honorable mention too? Just
absolutely, yeah.
Again, another solid goal, but I did love his little dink over De Gea. It was like right at the start of the second half,
right.
And I just vividly remember the commentary team talking about, well, what does United have to do to get back in this game to salvage something?
Yeah.
And we come storming out that second half and just destroy whatever team talk. I think Ollie was still in charge at that point, but whatever team talk he must have given them, and just put them right. Just set them up for another half of misery. So that's another one that I'll love.
I think there were probably a lot of honorable mentions, because the reason I didn't go for it is because I can't remember which game it was in. I think it might have been United at home. Wasn't there a game where we had like everyone but one player touched the ball before we scored? And I can't remember who scored the goal, but it just, we scored so many goals against them this year. It was embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, there were the Taki goals too. I think are the mineral mentions for me. So the one against Leicester in the cup.
Yeah,
I can't remember if it was the Carabao or the FA Cup.
Carabao.
Okay.
Yep.
And the goal against, was it Wolves? The second goal, the one that he just hit so hard. No, Southampton. Sorry, it was like the second to last match of the season.
Yeah.
So those were
pretty
good goals too.
Yeah.
I hope Ben White has shown that picture of him laughing at Taki for the rest of his life. See how that went down for him.
Oh, I'm sure that played into how Liverpool responded in the second leg, right? It's like, I'll show these people. Yeah, there's something off about Arsenal, but anyway, for a different show. Okay. I've said this before. There's something I just don't like. Arteta is obviously not. He's not Klopp, but there's almost something kind of fake about him in a way that Klopp absolutely, everyone says, is the same person wherever you meet him, whether it's in front of a camera or. Yeah. We haven't said much about Jurgen. Maybe we'll get to that. So that's favorite goal. A couple more things. Favorite game. And obviously there's a lot to choose from. We lost 4 games out of 63. There was some just, I thought, at times magnificent performances, particularly kind of midway through the first half of the season, and then that spell where we beat kind of United and we beat City in the FA Cup, and we beat Villarreal. Just all magnificent. What was your favorite, Haitham?
So I'm trying to remember. For me, it's not about the result. It's just about the way we play. And I think I can remember one of them, which is the Villarreal home match.
Yeah.
Just the way we controlled that match was phenomenal. Although the result, obviously did not reflect how we played. But just from minute 0 until minute 90, whatever, 95 or whatever, I thought the way we controlled the ball, we basically the way we bossed that match. That's one of the most enjoyable matches for me for the season. And there was another Premier League match where we kind of did the same, and the result was kind of the same too. I don't know if it was a 1-0. I just at this point I don't remember it. But for me, it's I think you guys know by now. It's not about if we win or if we lose or if we draw or whatever. It's just about how we played, and I enjoy the matches where we control everything from the get-go until the end.
Yeah.
So that's one of the matches that I've enjoyed the most.
That was quite unbelievable. I think I'm right in saying they had one shot off target the whole game that they really couldn't get out. So it's what made the second leg a bit shocking, right, when they came out and played differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was unbelievable. And I think we talked about this before we started recording. I do think if we could have got a third and a fourth, we could have focused on Spurs that week after instead of having to put out a full team in Villarreal in the heavy conditions, and that might have made all the difference. But anyway, what ifs? So I think I've already I think I've already given away what my favorite is, but I'll share that after you, Enrique.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to say the semifinal against City, but I'm actually going to go with the away leg against Inter, and that was, to me, that wasn't us anywhere near our best. We definitely were under pressure for large periods of that game, but it showed just a ruthless efficiency, which you need in European competition. And to come out of that, look with a much more comfortable scoreline than it probably was and at the time it happened. But the other thing that makes it my favorite is I remember seeing videos circulating of Italian punditry that just couldn't understand what all the hype was on this Liverpool side. I don't know the guy's name, but I remember they did a combined 11, which actually, and granted, this was during probably our roughest period of the season, but their combined 11 had only 5 Liverpool players with 6 from Inter.
Laporte would have approved.
Sorry, say that.
Laporte would have approved.
Oh, I'm not sure Laporte gets in that team either. But yeah, to just I get essentially just show them all what we're about, and just and yeah, we took the pressure they put us under, but yeah, we survived it, and we came out of that tie. And I also think it helps to remind people too that anyone that's saying that we haven't had an easy path to the final, I mean, they forget who we had in the group stages and in the earlier knockout rounds, because nobody was saying that that matchup was easy at the time. And so I think that's going to be one, just because I think the grit we showed in general over that away leg.
Yeah, actually, unusually over recent years, we were really good on the road in Champions League this year. So, well, it'd be nice for that to continue for sure. Okay, so favorite game, so I got to go back to it. Favorite game, BT United 5-0 away. Oh, that's I think I said at the time, it doesn't matter if we don't, if we don't win after the league after this, it doesn't matter. I'm no longer thinking that's quite true, because I think one of the things that now carries on is we've been to Old Trafford and we've played as well as we could. And for a couple of years, we went there and we looked like the environment was the most intimidating anywhere. And the environment didn't really seem to matter. So yeah, got to be my favorite.
How long did it take them to fire Solskjaer after that match? Was it a couple of matches afterwards? I'm trying to remember.
It was at least a couple, because they was it the one
got smashed by Watford?
Yeah, those 5
right?
to Watford, didn't they?
That might have been the one.
That was the one. Yeah.
Because I remember Mourinho was sacked after we beat him 3-1 at Anfield.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, who was it? Van Gaal before Mourinho? Oh, what? Can't remember.
So Silver of Everton was fired after we beat them 4-1, 4-0 in 2019.
Okay.
I mean, there've been a few examples. Yeah, maybe in hindsight they kind of moved a bit too fast with Mourinho, but never mind. Uh, enough about United. Back to our season. We're going to finish off with a couple of different things. One is funniest moments, but then we'll do a circle back and, you know, is there something that you want to talk about in terms of what you're left with the season that's truly memorable, that just didn't easily fall out into one of these headings? But let's go with funniest moment. You've got quite a few of these. And you can start, Haitham, and we'll join in.
Yeah, I think and we've talked about this before, but Konate and Fred, the little you know, where he basically cradled him like a little baby or whatever and moved him away. That was hilarious to me. And then just in general, just Joel's reactions to calls against him, calls against the team or whatever. It's always funny to watch him. But yeah, those are the two things that I remember off the top of my head.
There were I'm sure there were the Konate one. I think definitely that was it. That was in the Pierce O'Neill Hughes highlights. By the way,
Yeah.
that was the one they chose as being their favorite. I'll go last. What do you have, Enrique?
So many moments. I hope you go on about it, because I really do love Allison's Pickford impression. But there's an iconic photo from the FA Cup final as Tsimikas is walking up, and you just see the entire squad and all the range of reactions they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that moment, you can just see nobody has more confidence Tsimikas is going to tuck away his penalty than Bobby Firmino. I mean, he's just got two fingers pointed right at him, just full confidence. And I think that I've absolutely saved that photo and made it my background, because it's just such a great range of emotion across the entire team there. But alongside with that, though, I have to say the impromptu parade, we had United fans storm out of their stadium.
I saw that. Yeah.
50 minutes into the game.
Yeah. So there were definitely some. It was that photo by the one where Milner's facing the opposite direction. Is that
Milner's comforting Jota, I think, who's just letting out a howl that you have to imagine comes from the pressure just releasing after he had just scored his.
So I saw one of the penalties being taken. I wasn't sure it was Tsimikas one. Milner looked like he was looking the other way.
Yeah, I remember seeing that too.
Yeah. So that was awesome. So funny thing. So I did find the image of Wembley, which must have been taken from, I don't know, a mile away, where you could basically see all this red cloud above the stadium.
Yeah.
I think that was after the FA Cup final. I did like that. But you're right. Funniest moment had to be after all the like crap that Pickford pulled while they were managing to hold us, that it's the end of the game and Alisson mocks him in terms of the catch the ball and this foe falling down slowly on it. That that was perfect.
I have an honorable mention too. So there was a match towards the end of the first half where Salah, picked up the ball somewhere. I can't remember who it was against. And basically, he just wanted to go through the whole team, and then he shot the ball. And there were like multiple players. I think Mane was all open, and Jota probably. And Klopp was just screaming afterwards at him, like, "Why didn't you pass the ball or whatever?" And Salah looks at him and like, to whom? I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I remember
but
that.
I thought, I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, okay, it's not only me, who's screaming at the TV.
Yeah, I can't remember. That must have been a game where it was close. I guess at home, right? Was it?
I
Yeah,
think I think it was an away match. I have to go back and look, but yeah,
it
that
was a
was
Brighton actually. I think I'm correct in saying it's Brighton.
okay.
No, he's going to fact check this, so we'll go with Brighton. Uh, okay, so kind of last round. What else about the season that you left with that didn't easily fall in these headings? Haitham.
For me, I think our women's team getting back to the women's Super League. I think I think they had one of the greatest seasons. I kept following them, at least just looking at their results and their goals and things like that, and they had a pretty good season. I think they won it probably a couple of weeks before the end of the season.
Yeah.
And they have really good players. I know a couple of them have already left after the season was over. So it'll be interesting to see how they will, basically stand up to your Chelsea, cities, and United. I think United has a decent women's team too. But they signed an American player, actually, Stengel, the second half of the season, and she scored a lot of goals for them after she got there. A little older. She's not. I don't think. I think she used to play in the U.S. Women's national team, but she doesn't anymore. But still, I mean, she's the number 9. She's got that touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one huge positive for me, just to see them going back to the Super League.
And it was fantastic to see them at the parade too. It's a shame that
Yeah.
not all of them could have been there. A lot of them were on international duty already, but
Yeah.
I think that's just a class move across the board to have them involved. And I think the Anfield rep was mentioned in it, but they're on merit too. They won and just add another trophy to the collection of Liverpool Hall.
Absolutely, it was well deserved, and just the way like the way they were beating teams, you could tell that they were not supposed to be there. And again, I the only reason why they were in the I don't know what they call it, the championship.
I
Basically.
think
It's still championship, yeah.
Yeah, it's because of the weird COVID standings the league did, because they canceled the season before finishing it, and they just happened to be
they prorated the points, right? Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the coach was the one who coached them to the 2 titles, actually back in 13 and 14. Hopefully, I think it's going to take a lot to compete with the money that City. Oh, who knows about Chelsea going forward? But the money that City have put into their team.
It looks like they're being pragmatic about it though, because everything I've seen so far is saying that their 2-season plan is to just make sure they stay in the league over the next 2 seasons, and then they build from there. I don't think they're going to be going up expecting to compete at the top, but when you which is better, right? Because then you're not setting yourself up for failure if you're nowhere near it.
Yeah. As long as they do better than Everton, I'm good.
I'm shocked that we've gone this long and we haven't touched on Everton's season as a source of funny moments. I know we had the Pickford comment, but
yeah, I was gonna say one of my uncategorized moments was gonna talk about Agent Rafa and almost job complete. We salute you, sir.
yeah. I did listen to John Oliver on I think it was on the Men in Blazers podcast, kind of talking about the season. Now, if you heard it, I thought it struck me what he said was like, I think that's true. In the end, it would have been so bad for the City to lose one of the Premier League teams who probably wouldn't come back based on where their finances are. It was, what did he describe it as? It was like wishing harm on somebody, and then something really bad happens to them. Like, oh, I didn't mean that. Just let them stay in mid-table like gloom. That's fine. So, yeah, Everton. What else? Any other moments, Enrique?
Klopp signed until 2026.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
you stole my thunder.
That's
That was my
okay, I'm
closing
sorry.
point. No, that's good. Good. I
Um,
think that's to be celebrated. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that could have been in one of my favorite moments of the season
Yeah.
as well. Definitely my favorite moment off the pitch. But yeah, and I can't remember the exact order of it too. But if I remember correctly, like Klopp
Oh no.
3 signs, and then we had a couple other players. I don't know if I cut out there. Sorry, but that just shows how important he is, not just to us as a fan base and to the club, but also to the players that he's managing. That they want to see, all right, Klopp's going to be here for a while. This is a project I want to still be a part of. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I know most of it maybe is just rumors, and we'll probably talk about transfers in another episode. But if some of the rumored quotes from the phone conversations Klopp has had with Nunes are just fantastic, because the guy just gets the city. There's one going around where it's just like, do you want to make your great grandkids very, very rich, or do you want to be a hero of the best city in the world?
All right.
Something along those lines is fantastic.
Yeah, there isn't anything he says that isn't eminently quotable. Maybe that's a good place to close, actually, because probably the last it was probably the last interview at the end of the parade, which I'm sure you've both seen. He's probably had a couple of beers, just put that into context. But he says, I don't care what, people are going to complain about this, but like really, these are the best fans in the world, and I love every single one of them. And it's like, wow. Can't think of anyone better to take us through the next season.
I have one actually. I have one.
Okay.
Loris Karius is finally gone.
Oh,
it's a little negative, but it's a positive for me.
It is.
I'm that selfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gone, and he's I think a bodybuilder now or something. I don't know.
He looks, yeah. I mean, you can see what he's been spending his time on. I do wish him the best, though. I worry about his mental health. I think it's I have never seen a player seem that broken after one performance, a bad performance. But it's a shame it didn't work out. But yeah, I think it's best for all parties involved that he's moved on.
Yeah,
with an extra 50 pounds, apparently,
and so much money in the bank. I'm not. I'm sorry.
well, let's be honest. They never upped his contract, and I'm sure he wasn't being paid that much. And I don't know. Yeah,
he's getting probably he was probably getting paid more than the three of us combined, and the whole crew that gets on this podcast.
That is probably true. But what do we think of his lifelong earning potential from here on in? I don't know about that. I was going in a very dark direction and talk about Boris Becker being jailed because he's bankrupt. But anyway, just because they were German, that's just a terrible connection. If we had editing, I'd have edited that out. Okay. Any last honorable mentions? Or I think that was pretty awesome in terms of a recap. Feel good about the season, which I was starting to before we started, yeah. Season 4 will be back very soon, starting with a serious transfer show.
I do have one mention. It's you guys, the First State Kopites, and this podcast, and the group that we chat on. And it's been amazing. Thank you guys. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for the chatter. It's been great to go through this season. I think it's probably the second season or the third season since we've met. I think the third one or the second. I don't know.
So I think our first season was I don't know if we had many guests, but I think it's probably we've been working more on the second and third seasons.
Yeah. So this is fantastic. So thank you for having me. Thanks for the friendship, the chats, the banter at times, the pushbacks at times. I'm talking to you, Sean. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it's all absolutely reciprocated, man. It's been great getting to know you as well. A good friend, and yeah, I love your hate for La Liga. I can't stress enough. I absolutely
Someone's got to do it.
So passionately hates an entire collection of teams.
Well, let's keep it going next season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's close out. Thank you. We'll be back very soon. Probably in I don't know. We'll see where the transfer stuff gets to. We'll be back starting with that. Community Shield is 7 weeks away, which I don't know. I no way of don't we think about 7 weeks. That doesn't sound very far away. Thanks this week, especially to not just for this week, but for the whole season, Haitham and Enrique. And thanks to everyone who's joined us through the year, especially Sean and your provocative messages on our Signal feed. Thanks to Daz, we miss you, and Justin. If you enjoyed the podcast, share it with a friend. Follow us on Twitter. We only tweet and retweet from sources we think are credible. So that means our Darwin Núñez news will not be coming from Fabrizio Romano.